out and connecting us with some great speakers from around the state.
You're going to do great.
Thank you. Is Brandon Burbank, who made the drive down from Bellingham to be with us. So we are very grateful for your commitment to our club, and we look forward to hearing your message. Brandon Burbank is a mental health advocate, author, and speaker. He was born and raised in Whatcom County. Brandon has an AA in Arts and Sciences with business classes and received his peer-to-peer counselor certification training from the Washington Healthcare Authority. Brandon is author of the book, Come Back to Success, Relentless Commitment for a Better Tomorrow. Brandon specializes in doing talks on mental health, speaking from a peer-to-peer perspective. The title of Brandon's speech is Embracing Your Mental Health. A great topic for all of us. Welcome, Brandon Burbank.
Thank you, Alan. Awesome. There we go. All right, hello everyone. I'm really honored and just so happy to be here to talk with you guys about mental health. Just a little bit about my life story and my journey that has really gone from so many different challenges to successes, and being grateful for the challenges that I've gone through because it's made me who I am. And so now I'm gonna give you more background context so that you can get to know me before I talk about those key components that will help really get you more grounded in hearing what has helped me in my personal mental health journey, my mental health recoveries. So, the introduction, I grew up in Whatcom County, Bellingham, Washington, and so I've had a wonderful upbringing. My childhood and adolescence was filled with a lot of memorable experiences and journeys. Really was a competitive person, successful in my academics, graduated from high school with a 3.5 GPA, and the next fall I decided to study abroad in Barcelona, Spain. I funded the trip all by myself because I was like, I wanted to do something that was different, something that was out of my comfort zone, and something that really challenged me to take ownership of my life. And because a lot of the things that I've been blessed to have had in my life have just kind of been given to me as a kid. And so as a result, I've learned throughout the years that nothing is learned if you don't earn it versus being given something. And so with that being said, I decided to do this study abroad trip in Barcelona, Spain, and it was after returning home from studying abroad at the age of 19 when things really got really difficult, challenging, depressing. I was lonely, I was isolating, and I was back at home in Bellingham with my family and trying to understand what I was going through in my life and feeling alone. And that's the thing about a lot of people in this world with COVID and just other mental health challenges, is they feel alone. They don't feel like they have any type of outlet to reach out to, somebody to have a conversation about that can help really change their outlook on themselves, most importantly, because they're the ones that are going through something that's challenging. And so that's why getting the certification as a peer-to-peer counselor is something that has helped me so that I can better address the need and the demand for these students and adults that are going through challenges with their mental health, and they don't know how to channel that energy, channel that focus to help themselves grow and get out of that situation. And that's the sad part about a lot of things in this world, is that we go into these cycles of patterns of living for years, for decades, and it doesn't change. And so I am thankful because I've been able to break that cycle and break that chain of living that has been so difficult and at times traumatizing. But because I've been able to go through these challenges and it's made me who I am, I have so much more happiness and the ability to reflect on my life and thank the right people who have helped me along the way during difficult times. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. But I guess the other things that I'm going to talk about that are focused around mental health and that's focused around my own unique journey, recognizing that everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own way of how they live their life. People might not necessarily agree with what you do or how you live your life, but as long as you're doing something that's conducive for your growth, for your spirituality, for your mental health, those are key components that are all vital. Safety, those are things that we all need to have and deserve to have here on earth while we're living here. And so recognizing what is in a good situation and what's healthy for our lives, for our growth, is so dependent upon where we will become 5, 10, 15 years down the road. So that's kind of why I am trying to nip it in the bud and say, asking yourself hard questions, whether you are going through something in your life or have it or not. But the thing is, you might know somebody that is actually going through a challenge with their mental health. And I say that because according to the National Institute, over 50 million Americans are living with a mental illness. So I don't say that to just get you all down, get you all depressed and feeling that way, because in no sense that, I'm bipolar. So I'm the product of that statistic, but that doesn't mean that, I've spoken with several of you already, and I'm so honored and happy and grateful to hear your guys' experiences and the things that you've accomplished in your life. And that's kind of where it all boils down to, is asking yourself, are you going to enjoy your life and be happy for what you have, or are you going to be focusing on the negatives, the things that are bringing you down, and the things that aren't conducive for your happiness? That's the really bottom line, a key component for what I've been able to do for my success. What's helped separate me from where I was to where I'm at now is because in spite of these hospitalizations, halfway house, self-help mental health treatment programs that I've gone through, I've been able to successfully channel my mind and changing my mindset and saying, you know what, this is a really difficult place, this is a really difficult situation, but I know that things will get better and nothing is permanent in life, even our life, And the other thing that I'll say is that I'm so grateful because I treat my life every single day like it's my last. And I really hope that if there's some takeaways that you'll get from this, it's that, are you living your life up to your fullest potential? Are you living your life to the ability of where you can say that you are grateful and you're living a purposeful life? Finding purpose and meaning is so vital for all of our lives. And so when we go down a wrong path or just mess up, treating that as a learning experience, treating it as an opportunity to learn something about yourself, as well as the beautiful thing called life and the struggles that come with that, but then you can learn to grow through it rather than just not being persistent and continuing on through the pain or through the struggles, because life, we all know that life can get challenging and chaotic. So that was my kind of intro. Now we're going to talk about 5 different steps that are helpful for your own understanding. And so those 5 steps are: step 1, develop self-awareness; step 2, confide in someone you trust; step 3, take charge of your life; step 4, accept change; step 5, be patient for changes to come. Starting with step 1, I'm going to give you some more context in my own life story. So with developing self-awareness, I'm 27 now. So I've gone through a lot of challenges and a lot of life experiences that has helped shape me in my own life, in my own adult life as well. And because of that, I've been able to say, well, what I've learned from that as I reflect is just really recognizing some of the calculated risks that I've taken in spite of the challenges that were faced in front of me in my life. For example, going through multiple hospitalizations and having to learn how to recover from these hospitalizations. And what did that look like? So sometimes it was like, just getting out of bed and going for a walk was a win, because I was so out of, my mental health stability. And because of that, it limited what I could do and functionality. And when you're in a mental health, psych ward, things like that, it gets really intense and really real. And so that's kind of why I feel like I had to take it in stride and ask myself, okay, one step at a time. A lot of sleep is required, but in the long run, I started to gain momentum. I got a job, so I was working at Fred Meyer part-time, and just accumulating lots of hours, doing different things that were, that weren't necessarily they were challenging, is what I'm trying to say. They were hard to do. They were things that I was like, you know what, I don't want to do this, but I should do it because it's going to help me continue further on my path and my purpose. So with schooling, I tried Whatcom Community College, got an AA degree. I tried BTC, didn't really work out. I tried just a bunch of other things like doing sports, being active. And so, but what I learned from that is because eventually, even though it didn't work out for the long run, eventually what it did is it helped me gain momentum to help, channeling my habits and asking myself, is this helping me for my long-term goals, or is this really not going to help me grow and become the person that I wanted to become, and having that purpose in mind? Which is why it's linked to developing self-awareness. If instead of just asking your mom or your friend, what should I do with my life? Going through the challenges and going through these actual tangible experiences that have helped you grow and becoming the best, just learning to reflect from what you've experienced, that is the key component to how I have found that I've been able to grow and find more of an ability to really find my purpose, to find my passion. To be honest with you, 10 years ago when I was a senior in high school, and I was, training in soccer and winning state championships. But I don't know if I would have told you if I would have been a professional speaker, in all honesty. But because of that, I can say that I've been able to create this career path, create this opportunity through the challenges that God put into my life. And He asked me, because I believe every single person in this room has gifts, just like myself. But it's we have to challenge ourselves through the experiences in order to unveil what we have as a person, what we have to provide to help other people who are going through different challenges. So that's why I really brought up the whole statistic of over 50 million Americans that are struggling with mental illness. How many people are in this room? 20, maybe? Think about it from 50 million, the standpoint, just in this country alone. That's not even including the people in the world that are going through mental health challenges. And so if I can really, when I go up on stage, I think if I can inspire one person, that's my job is very well done. Because not everybody's going to really relate to what I have to say. So that's developing self-awareness so that you can see the insight in the experience that I've had, because it's taken me years to develop this, but I've had to do that through going through hard challenges and hard lessons that has taught me how to grow and become a better and a happier and a healthier person. Some of the things that help me are mental health professionals. So, seeing a therapist is something that I do because I think that that's helpful for my growth and for my sustainability and for managing my condition. And it gives me more, it gives me more insight on just to help getting a second opinion on another perspective whom you might not know personally, but is in a different alignment with they're backing you up. They're like your cheerleader. They're like you're in your corner. So that was developing self-awareness, and because I have no shame in asking for help anymore, because I've known that I know what it was like to deny when I needed help, and when it was not helpful, when it actually could have been helpful and beneficial for my growth. Instead, I landed in the hospital, and just things that could have been prevented. That's my point. Okay, so step 2, confide in someone you trust. Boy, this is another good one that really ties well with therapists. And so I bring up confiding in someone you trust because specifically, since we're on the topic of mental health, if there's a lot of people out there that are going through challenges in this world, and they don't know necessarily how to work through that, it's good to ask somebody who might give you constructive feedback, somebody who actually cares and and somebody who actually could give you the right ideas and just constructive feedback, because it's better to have somebody in your corner who gives you raw and real feedback than to have somebody who doesn't give you conducive growth and conducive helpful feedback for your life. So I speak highly of that, because when you confide in somebody you trust, thinking about that really critically is an important part of when you're going through something with your mental health challenges, which, I've been in crisis before, living in hotels, things like that, like being in the hospitalization, and I was like, who am I going to reach out to? And so because I've had, a special friend that has helped me in my life, or a family member that has helped me in my life, that it was just that one person that is all you needed to help give you more feedback, and it gave you more sustainability and confidence to really see your potential to overcome the obstacles that were in front of you in your current state of life and mind. Because I feel deeply in my heart that we are so much more capable of doing what we can do in our life than we can really imagine. Really, it's because of the fact that I think a lot of us want to have attention from other people, like notoriety from people, but it's like, at the end of the day, if you're happy and because you're following your purpose, you're following your plan, I guarantee you the money will come. The things that matter to you the most, if you're harnessing that and focusing on that and reminding yourself for what's your why and why you get up out of bed and feel so excited to live life, because it can get difficult, that really changes the dynamic of how you live, and I can guarantee you that it changes the people around you in this community. All right, so that's confide in someone you trust. Step 3, take charge of your life. So I'm going to give you more context. With about 22, 23, I was getting out of the hospitalization again, which, is part of my story, and I have no shame in sharing that. And so what I can tell you, though, is from that journey, I started to gain more momentum and say, I've gone through so many hospitalizations and other challenges with my life, so why not try and move somewhere else that's going to help me continue to grow and to continue to find my path and purpose, which I still haven't found it yet at 23 years old. But what I could tell you is that I did that. I went, you know what, I'm moving to LA. I didn't move to LA. I moved to Seattle, though. And I moved to Seattle for 10 months, and then after 10 months, I was like, you know what, I want more of this, and I want to continue to grow and become the best person, just developed it myself. And so then I ended up moving to Long Beach, California, and I lived in Southern California for over 2 years. And so because of those challenges, boy, there was a lot of different lifestyle changes, lifestyle experiences that I really was able to experience that are special and unique to my life. And so that's why I see the gratefulness that I have in my life and my upbringing, and just the person, the character that it built through this change of living experience. And then obviously coming back to Bellingham last November was another horrific, just difficult trial and tribulation challenge, because I was homeless and trying to figure out my financial situation. And from then to now is like a lot has, I think it kind of shows through the challenges and through my journey that I let my actions speak louder than my words. And so when I say that, it's like, I'm going to just show up wholeheartedly and try and be the best I can and be prepared. And that's the best you can do. And as long as you know you're doing your best and being the best version of yourself, you can't go wrong. So due to time, we're going to go to accept change. So accepting change is hard for a lot of us, everybody. I mean, the world is constantly moving. We're always doing something. We're always growing. We're always developing some new technological advances. And so because of that, if you can learn to accept what's in front of you, accept the challenges that are going through your life in your current life right now, and you can find the good in what you're going through, even though it might be difficult and just really challenging, that's going to help you become a more diverse and flexible individual that can help you become the best version of yourself, a happier and healthier individual, and more in alignment with what you want to achieve in your life. Because, I mean, it's simple, like going through challenges is what makes us stronger, but also having that balance in our life, which is step 5, be patient for changes to come. Having that balance is what gives you more clarity in your life to recognize that, well, you know, if say I want to be a professional speaker, a mental health speaker, but it might take some time to get to that point. And it's taken years to get to this point, but I'm content and grateful for everything that I've created thus far. And I know it might take a little bit longer, but I'm going to continue to keep trying because I believe in myself, and having that innate fire and passion to succeed and to really provide something that hopefully will tangibly impact other lives in this world. So in wrapping up of this talk, we talked about 5 steps. Step 1, develop self-awareness. Step 2, confide in someone you trust. Step 3, take charge of your life. Step 4, accept change. Step 5, be patient for changes to come. So what do you need to do right now to take action for your life? Whether it be mental health-wise or personal-wise or physical health-wise, just soak that in, and when you go home today, just think about that for the rest of the day and ask yourself some of those questions, because you are, you know, you're an influencer. You're making a difference every single day when you wake up out of bed and communicate with your neighbor or just say hello to your wife. That's a huge impact. So continue to do that, be great, and go get it. Thank you. All right, so now we're going to open up for Q&A. Yes.
Your first point, self-awareness. Sometimes you say that, and I often wonder, what does that mean? To me, it means knowing your feelings. How would you define self-awareness in terms of practical things that we can understand? My sense of knowing when, you know, things get you upset, your anger, or who you are, where you came from. What is self-awareness?
With self-awareness, some of the words that come to mind include self-esteem, because when you have a strong self-esteem, it tends to give you more confidence in different situations in how you show up, versus when you have a low self-esteem, you don't really show more of yourself and feel like you're authentic. But one of the things that I feel has helped me grow is I'm so aware of who I am because of the challenges that I've gone through, and those self-esteem and that self-awareness of, oh, this is how I'm acting because of, this is what's typical of how I behave in this certain environment or in this situation. I know myself so well, and that helps me become a better, just all-around individual. That's my answer. Yes.
You said 50 million people have mental illness, and I wonder about the sense of are they mentally ill all of the time on a continuous basis, or are there 100 million that are occasionally have problems with mental health and deal with it, or are there 25 that have variations in mood and really don't qualify as defined in this system?
Yeah, that's a great question, sir. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you want to know what's the definition of mental illness and what that looks like, because I'll tell you right now, 50 million Americans, so it's more like 56 the last time I checked million in the National Institute of Mental Health. But I'm also going to say that there's also millions of people here in America that are undiagnosed, that are going through a challenge, but they're suffering in silence. And so I've done that before. Like when I was 19, and right when I got back from studying abroad, I was like, I don't know, I'm going to just keep living my life, but not tell anybody about the challenges that I'm going through mentally. And so that's a lot of similar events and scenarios that people are going through, but they're not able to so they do other things like drugs and alcohol to cope with those challenges. And so that's kind of why there's a lot more people than what is actually statistically in the number. Yeah.
I want to give you a hypothetical situation. Let's suppose someone your age comes to you this afternoon and said, I just went to Auburn Multi-Care, their full behavioral health ward is full, they can't admit me, what do I do?
Oh, yeah. So, well, obviously then you're going to want to know, if you talk to the behavioral health specialist at Multi-Care, they'll give you recommendations. But if you kind of just like, which is what some people do in all honesty, oh, okay, then I'm just going to go back home or just do something else and let it continue to fester and get worse in your life. So that's kind of also where confiding in someone you trust and having somebody who is aware of what's going on in your life and knows kind of the triggers that are things that are hurting you or hindering you from growth, from balance, and really confiding with them and having an outside perspective. So that's another problem with parenting and kids with mental health challenges, is that they don't know like what to do to help their child. And so because of that, their children is like, doing other antics and behaviors that are bad, and the parent doesn't know how to serve the child properly. So that's why having somebody like myself to talk to these parents and kids and gives, I'm not saying I know all the answers, but I'm just, my story at a young age, I was diagnosed at 19, gives more context at a young age. And so that's kind of that's what I would say.
Speaking of your age, do you think that, I don't know the demographics, do you think that there are age categories that are more susceptible to mental health issues than others? That's
a really good question. Yes, I read about it, but I don't have the right statistics off my head. So I want to say that it's like, I think this is in the training, at the peer-to-peer counselor training that we talked about, like the different statistics. I think it's like the 27 to 34 is like when it's the most conducive to gaining a diagnosis. And when you're younger, it's less likely. So, like for me, like I was diagnosed at 19, and it's really just been something that I've had to learn to adopt, and it's called radically accept. Yeah.
I think I can answer that question a little bit. Certainly, the diseases of the young are common, we know that. And in fact, one of the early psychiatrists in the centuries past named dementia praecox, which is a dementia of the young. And that was schizophrenia. And bipolar disease is typically of the young as well. And particularly when there's a stress. Going to college is often a stressor for that.
Yeah, that's true. You hear a lot of common stories on college students that...
And so those two illnesses, I know for sure. But now you see it in the younger people, and that has to do with depression and anxiety in our modern world. So, mental health is a disease of the young. And of course, of the older, menopausal depression, postpartum depression. So there are age groups that suffer from specific illnesses. And of course, the age with dementia and associated mental health disorder.
One of the things, item 5, you said the concept of accept change. Where does the concept of create change relevant to accepting change?
I would say creating change is very important. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like maybe I didn't say that, but it's like I'm a firm believer in that as well, because I kind of look into my own personal experiences. I've created these opportunities. I created this book. I created many speaking engagements because I have the desire to, and I feel like I have the strong belief in myself, backed with self-esteem and a lot of expertise that I feel is going to provide value to others. So that would be my answer.
Well, I see what you're doing as creating change. So you're really moving in that direction with what you're doing. And I think that's a good positive entity.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Last one?
I believe you have some books for sale, perhaps you'd like to tell us
Yes,
about that.
yeah, I have copies of my book over here, Come Back to Success. They're $20 a copy, and I'll sign it for you as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Anybody else? Oh,
For your thing, your speech reminded me to check in with my oldest son, Matt, who's 19, and
good.
thank you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to hand it over to Alan.
Thank you, Brandon. Brandon, on behalf of you and your wonderful presentation, we'll make a donation to Harvest Against Hunger.
Okay.
And let's give another big round of applause to Brandon. And I don't know, did you mention what the cards are for on the tables?
Yes. So the feedback cards are for if you wanted to share anything on how I can improve as a speaker, and eventually I'll collect them, and then I'll draw a random card, and that random card I draw will get a free copy that's signed. So just finish up, and then I'll grab them in a moment. Thanks.
And your last job is to pick our lunch, free lunch winner. If you wouldn't mind, just read the last 3 numbers on one of these tickets.
All right, the number is 3868282.
Is 8282?
No.
Just read the last 3 numbers on the right.
276.
Hey, Charlie. All right. Charlie's our winner. All right. Thank you, Brandon. Anything else for the good of the order?
Don't